We know that there are energy centers in the body called chakras, but how do we know what's really going on in our chakras? How do we know if they're healthy? I'm Susan Kiyoki, a professional energy healer and the founder of Reiki Colorado, a school for learning energy healing. In this video, I'm going to show you how to scan or read chakras. We will be scanning the 7 major chakras in the body. Let's take a look at where these chakras are located and the general energy consciousness associated with each one. The first, or root chakra, is at the floor of the pelvis. It relates to our physical functioning, to the quantity of physical energy and vitality that we have. The second, or sacral chakra, originates in the low belly. It is associated with your unique personality and to the emphasis that you give to pleasure for yourself and others. The third, or navel chakra, is sometimes placed at the solar plexus. To be clear, there are chakras in both of these locations. The third chakra relates to the energy of who we feel we are and how we fit in the world. The fourth, or heart chakra, is located in the center of the chest and relates to the energy of compassion and universal love. It bridges the energy between the 3 lower physical chakras and the 3 upper spiritual chakras. The fifth, or throat chakra, is in the neck. It relates to the ability to speak up for ourselves and take responsibility for our needs. The sixth, or third eye chakra, originates between the eyebrows. It relates to ideas, creativity, higher ideals, and information, including experiences beyond the scope of our 5 senses. The seventh, or crown chakra, is at the top of the head. This is your connection to the divine, to your experience of spirituality in its pure form outside of structures, organizations, dogma, and rules. Now that we have a basic idea of where the 7 chakras are, let's take a look at the tool we'll be using to read the energy of the chakras. We're going to be using a pendulum. Pendulums have been used for thousands of years in both scientific and more esoteric applications. They can be made out of many different kinds of materials, including crystals, stone, metal, and wood. The criteria for using a pendulum is simple. Pick one that you like and find easy to use. This pendulum is made from amethyst and clear quartz. I hold the pendulum in my dominant hand and drop the point toward the palm of my other hand. I'm reading the energy of my palm chakra. This one picked up the energy very quickly and gave a clear read. I like the design, but I wonder if the way the 2 crystals are connected will make it a little fragile. This pendulum is clear quartz. The chain tended to get a little kinked because of the angular links. Again, I dropped the pendulum toward the palm of my hand. This pendulum also picked up the energy quickly and gave a clear read, but every time I used it, I had to adjust the chain, and that was a little annoying. This one is metal and feels quite a bit heavier than the other pendulums. Because of that, I thought it would move poorly. It did seem a little slow to get going, but once it got in the flow of the energy, the movement was confident, almost aggressive. It gave a very decisive read. It also seems quite sturdy, something I think that's important if you're going to be traveling with your pendulum a lot. One more pendulum. This one is made of some undisclosed stone. I like the sturdy, compact shape. However, it did seem to hang slightly off its plumb line. The point is not quite in line with the chain. It gave a decent read, but the quality was not as assured as the others. The read was almost vague, like there wasn't as much energy moving through it. We're going to look at the basics for using a pendulum to scan major chakras. Using your dominant hand, drape the chain over your index finger, allowing about 6 to 8 inches of chain to hang. Drop the pendulum downward into the area that you want to scan, in this case, the 2nd chakra. Watch how this pendulum vibrates with the energy. The pendulum is starting to move, but I can see and feel that the pendulum is not yet precise or fluid in its movement. There is a notion that a pendulum moves on its own. What is actually happening is more like a dialogue between the energy of the chakra and the person using the pendulum. The information from the chakra is amplified by the pendulum. This is helpful because if you're not accustomed to reading subtle energy, it can be, subtle. Once the pendulum is in the flow of the chakra's energy, the movement will be very smooth. This reading is on a diagonal upward to the client's left. Scan the root chakra by placing the pendulum at the base of the pubic bones. If the chakra is low energy, the read will be very subtle and the pendulum will have a small movement. If the chakra is vibrant, the energy is easier to sense and the pendulum will have bigger movement. If you are picking up multiple directions that the pendulum wants to move, it may be that the chakra is doing just that. The chakra is expressing differently on different levels of the energy field. Try focusing on just the first level of the energy field. It extends about 2 to 3 inches from the body. Once I do that, I start to get a clear read diagonal upward to Dan's left. As you become more proficient, explore pendulum reads at different distances from the body. Watch the pendulum shift in direction as I scan the second level of the energy field. The pendulum read is now diagonal up to Dan's right. Next, I move the pendulum even further away from the body to the third level of the energy field. This time I stopped the swing of the pendulum, so it was a little slow to get going again. Notice right about there, where I give the pendulum a little nudge in a diagonal direction up to the left. I thought that was the direction of the energy, but it didn't feel right. The movement isn't fluid. I give another nudge in direction change, and this time the movement quickly got smooth and big. I could feel and see that the pendulum was in the flow of the energy. To scan the navel chakra, ask your client to make a divot in their clothing at their navel. Again, drop your pendulum close to the body. Wait to sense how the pendulum wants to move. The movement started off kind of circular, but it had a lot of vibration. The movement is not organized. Next, there is a wobbly diagonal up and to the left. The pendulum continues to shift. Initially, when you are learning to scan chakras using a pendulum, allow yourself to simply have the experience without interpreting what the different reads mean. Perceiving energy can be so subtle that it's best not to have preconceptions. Here, once the pendulum moves diagonally up and to the right, I could both see and feel that the flow was smooth and big, no resistance. I was confident that the energy was in the flow up to Dan's right. There's a chakra at the solar plexus. This read started off with the pendulum vibrating in the energy of the chakra. By this time, I was getting dialed into how Dan's chakras were presenting on that day. Each individual person's energy will present differently, and the same person can present differently from day to day or even throughout a single day. I could feel that Dan's chakras were giving very clear, smooth pendulum reads. It was obvious when the pendulum was in the flow. The heart chakra is between the breasts at the center of the body. The pendulum will be just above the sternum. As you learn energy healing, obtaining chakra reads can be informative. Scanning the chakras at the beginning of an energy healing session gives a sense of where energy work may be needed. A scan at the completion of the session informs where changes happened. This read is a diagonal up to Dan's left. The throat chakra, not too surprisingly, is at the throat. Each chakra relates to a different energy consciousness. Plus, as we saw at the root chakra, the energy of a specific chakra can express differently on different levels of the energy field. Each level of the energy field represents different aspects of our experience. So chakra scans can potentially give us a lot of information. In this close-up, you can easily see the pendulum move simply from vibrating with the energy with no organization to a definitive diagonal flow up into Dan's right. When you're first learning to use a pendulum for scanning chakras, start with the pendulum fairly close to the body. The energy nearer the body is generally easier to perceive because it's denser. Using a pendulum is a dialogue. I make subtle shifts with the pendulum and I wait to get the feedback. I'm searching for where the movement is most fluid and in harmony with the energy flow. This reading is especially interesting. Watch as the pendulum lands in a strong diagonal up and to the right. Dan has his eyes open. He told me later that he felt himself shift into a deeper state just from being scanned, and he closes his eyes. The pendulum immediately shifts to a circular movement. The flow is circular and spinning clockwise from my vantage point. This is considered an open chakra. I was really happy that Dan demonstrated an open chakra read for us. Scan the crown chakra by dousing or dropping the pendulum just above the top of the head. Get a feel for how the pendulum wants to move. Be patient. With practice, when the pendulum is in the flow, you will know. Many people use pendulums to scan major organs, joints, other anatomy. Learning to use a pendulum to read energy is especially helpful because you can both see it and feel it. And it's a good forerunner to learning to scan chakras with the palm of your hand. This read eventually becomes circular in a clockwise direction. There was, however, a small amount of vibrating in the movement. If I had taken time to scan multiple levels of the field, I suspect that I would have found something other than a circular read on at least one level of the energy field. Practice on different people to experience different energy. Some energy fields will be easier for you to work with, and some will be more elusive. Have fun. Be curious. To learn more about the chakras and what different chakra scans mean, go to the Reiki Colorado website.
Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow Reiki Colorado on Instagram.